I'm going to show you how to make gingerbread for gingerbread cookies and gingerbread houses. First, you're going to need 2 bowls. Whatever one you have, if it's a bigger one, then that's going to be saved for your wet ingredients. Spatula, scoop out the wet ingredients if you don't want to use your finger. And a whisk to stir everything up. I'm going to start with my dry ingredients because they're easier to mix, less messy. I have everything pre-measured, you don't need to do that, but I do suggest doing it with the wet ingredients because they're harder to handle once you've got your fingers all sticky. You're going to start with your wheat flour, add in allspice and ginger and your baking soda. And all you're going to need to do is stir it all together until it basically looks like there's nothing but wheat flour left. Once you've got that nice and stirred, like so, you set it aside. And we're going to take our big bowl with our spatula. I'm going to start with the honey and scoop this all out. Like I said, it can get a little bit messy, so you can either use your finger or use a spatula, get it all out of there. Just make sure you have a sink nearby or a wet cloth to wipe your fingers off after you've dealt with all of this. Once we get the honey all scooped out, then we're also going to do molasses. Pour that in there. And again, I'm not bothering to wipe off the spatula in between because it's all just going to be mixed together anyways. Now next, I'm going to pour in my butter. I like to have it warm. If you have the butter too hot and you've already got the egg in there, you can possibly start to cook your egg a little bit depending on how hot your butter is. I do like to have it warm. That way it can kind of help mix the honey a little bit more so the honey's not so stiff. So pour that in there. I just use a coffee mug for mine to heat it up in the microwave, and use a spatula to get all of it out again. And wipe it on the sides, and I'm going to take my whisk real quick and kind of mix it a little bit and get it going. So all that honey is down at the bottom, and then we're going to add in our egg. And mix it until everything is all nice and fluid. You shouldn't have any big sticky spots in the bowl. Once you've got that all mixed together, it should look like that. Like I said, real soupy. And we're going to take our dry ingredient and just take maybe 1/4 to 1/2 of it. You don't want to dump the whole thing in there all at once. I'm going to put that in there and mix it. And you don't have to be perfect, just try to get as much of it mixed as you can before adding in the rest of it. Kind of help makes it a little bit easier. So I've got it a light brown, a little bit thicker, and I'm just going to go ahead and dump in the rest of mine. You can add in a little bit at a time if you want, and I wouldn't suggest just dumping it all in there. Now, because this does get kind of hard to mix, I don't usually double any batches. I go ahead and put them all single batches. I don't usually wash in between the batches if I'm doing them all one right after another. If you're going to be doing them a couple one night, couple the next night, then you definitely want to wash all your dishes. Don't want to leave them sitting with all that sugar and especially the eggs sitting in there. Now, once I've got this all mixed, if you start having problems, use your spatula since it's got some of your ingredients on it anyways, and push it through the whisk towards the bottom. I do it that way so it helps mix it up a little bit more instead of just poking it out of it. And keep mixing until all of your wheat flour is gone. And once you can't see any more of your wheat flour, like I can't see on here, everything should pretty much start to clump together like this. And all you have to do is push that through like so. Get off as much of that dough as you feel like picking off, and then leave that over that. Now you're going to take a piece of wax paper. It's about the size of your average baking sheet, and we're going to put that down, and then we're going to take your dough and dump it on top. If it's really dry, it'll fall out. Mine's a little bit moist. Sometimes it just matters what kind of molasses you get. I usually use Blackstrap. I'm using just an original because that's all I can find at my store. And once you start doing several of these, sometimes that also will make it a little bit moist, especially if you're leaving some of the ingredients in the bowl. So once I've got this all on the cookie sheet, the wax paper, then it'll look like this. Use the wax paper to roll it, and just press it into a log, and then what you want to do is take the ends. Once you've got a log, it doesn't have to be perfect. This is what mine looks like right now. Take the ends of it, and you don't want to put the end right onto the dough because it could rip after it's been sitting there for a little while, and then you have to start picking it out of the dough. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the ends together and then fold them over so that your crease is actually what's along the dough. And I'll usually fold it back a little bit so you've got kind of a double seal there. Take your ends, fold them over, and do it again on the other side. So it's going to look like this. And put it in the fridge with the bottom, with all the ends on the bottom. And if you're going to be making several batches and plan on doing the cookies or the houses that same night, what I would do is write down with a soft pen, highlighter, something that's not going to soak through, what time you put this in. You can also do it on the end here where you don't have any dough touching. But what time you put it in, because you want to leave these in for at least an hour. They can go for up to as long as a week. I don't usually suggest longer than a week because they're going to start drying out. And while you can use them, it makes it more difficult once they get dry for you to start rolling them out for the cookies. So I'm going to put this in the fridge, and then we'll wait, and I will be back soon to upload a video of how I suggest doing the cookie house and the houses.